We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever Nerdrotic podcast for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The premiere was tonight, and yeah, it was pretty good. We got a couple new characters and some old ones that we vaguely remember after such a long break. Yeah, so let's actually give this a couple seconds
Hang
and
on. Hang
oh,
on.
we're waiting for a couple people to join and then we'll get this thing
Wait,
going.
wait. It's crazy. Okay. There.
Technical issues for the first show of the fall.
That's what I had our link up. I don't know what the hell I was doing there.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Wait. I still hear it. Gosh damn it.
Working out kinks.
Okay. I think we're good now.
Sweet.
I was hearing like myself 5 times. I was like, whoa.
Oh, that's why our viewer count went up. It kept
Yeah.
opening up new ones. I see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we can wait for a second for the viewers to come in, but yeah. I should share this link on my Facebook too, right? Can I just pop this link, this Hangouts link? Can I just copy that?
I think you do the other one. Hold on, let me see. I'll get you the good one. That says links at the bottom. It's this one. I'll put it in the Facebook chat. It's this one. Facebook, and I'll put it in this one. That's the link. Or you could just share it from the Facebook page. I got us Facebook/Nerdrotic, so you can go there and do it from there. Okay. Hi everybody. Welcome to the first ever Nerdrotic Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Recap show for the premiere tonight, which was Ghost. Which we got some new characters. We got Ghost Rider. We got some life model decoys, Ada, right? And yeah, it's been a long break, so we may be a little rusty on some of these character names, but how did you feel generally about this episode, Gary? I know you're a big Ghost Rider fan. You got a tattoo, don't you?
I have a tattoo on my left calf, and I have to say, let me get to where I can see you now. Hang on. Sorry, folks. There you are. Okay. It was better than I thought it would be. I'll say that. I was really down on the Ghost Driver thing. And it's not about the character change from Johnny Blaze. That doesn't bother me at all. The guy who played Ghost Rider was absolutely fine, and I loved that he used the jacket. That's kind of even though he's wearing a motorcycle jacket, it looks like a lot like the original Johnny Blaze costume. I would show you my tattoo right now. I feel like standing on my chair, so we're just not going to do that. It's the cover of Ghost Rider number 18. It's one of the greatest covers ever made. So, but I still have a real problem with the car. The car bugs me, and we can go into that. It's a Charger. It's a 69 Charger.
Well, you're a fan of the Chargers, so why don't you like the car?
I love the car. Okay, you want me to get into it now?
Yeah, let's do it. Hot takes on Ghost Rider.
It's kind of silly. I mean, it's like he's got to get in and out of the. Like when you're fighting. Okay, it's a hard enough stretch on a motorcycle, but a motorcycle is like a battle horse. It's like something you can do battle on. You can jump off. It's a car. He's got keys and he's flipping the keys around and he's got to lock the doors and get in and out. There's not a lot of battling going on. And I know it's the same type of machinery, but I mean, like the car thing is like. Did he lease it? Did he buy it? When he got it, did he get a maintenance plan? Does he have a regular hell maintenance schedule there? I'm sure he leased it because it was he sold his soul to the devil. There's so much I could just go off, and I actually work in the auto industry now, so I have a problem with the car. I call him Ghost Driver. I know why they did it. They wanted to make it more like the new character, and I guess they want to they want to get away from the Nick Cage stuff.
Yeah.
But that aside, the actual look of the rider when he was walking around the little bit we did see him was kind of rad. It was kind of cool. The
And
effects
what do
were
you think
really
of the
good.
reveal? Yeah, the reveal at the end when his face melted away to the skull and the flames. That was pretty badass.
That was badass. That for television, that was great,
Yeah.
actually. And
They blew all their Ghost Rider face budget in these first two episodes,
I know
judging from the previews for next week.
but we could start at the big. I love the gratuitous Daisy getting a dressed shot at the beginning.
Yeah, I actually made a note of that sexy underwear shot to start the show. That was that's different for ABC and Agents of Shield a little, I think.
Yeah, well, they moved it to 10 o'clock, so I guess that's kind of their rated R version. Let's talk about that briefly. This move to 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Do you think this is an attempt to get this universe to match up with the Netflix universe a little bit more closely?
Yeah, I would say yes. The short and long answer, yes. And but it's weird why they moved the time slot like that, because it just doesn't seem like a 10 o'clock show.
No, I mean, maybe they're going to make it more like a 10 o'clock show. I'm not sure.
But I mean, it's still Monday night, so I mean, this is still prime viewing time, and maybe they know that probably I would say a good half of the viewers aren't even going to watch the thing live. They're going to watch it on Hulu or but I guarantee you this is probably their best opening ratings ever. I mean, like, how rad is it that Ghost Rider's opening up on TV? That is rad. That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of keep with this Ghost Rider. Like, when the show started, it was just like a bunch of humans working for Shield, and then you had the movie Shield kind of came down, and it became kind of like a little self-contained crew, and then this season it's going to expand back into like Shield as a whole and these people operating within it. But in between all of that happening, we've had the Inhumans. It basically became an X-Men TV show with kind of a corporate overstructure, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't had it. Like, Daisy's an interesting character. They had Mockingbird. Like, these are all kind of, I would say, D-level Marvel characters. If any of the properties they were using, they weren't top notch. Ghost Rider's got to be a B- on the scale we're probably rating this from. This is a pretty big thing to bring Ghost Rider not into his own show and just be on the show that we've been watching for the last however many seasons, 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. Well, Ghost Rider in comics is something Marvel still to this day hasn't figured out what to do with. He's an amazingly popular character, and it's mostly because of his look. But they've never had a really long it's only it's only recently the Garth Ennis and the Daniel Way stuff that came out back in 2007 was was the best Ghost Rider ever written. That stuff was amazing. And it was basically turning Ghost Rider into Hell's Bounty Hunter. And they kind of went away from that, which was too bad, but he's never been able to hang on long. And it's more Marvel giving up on him. I know he's kind of a niche superhero, but he's really original and cool. And,
so before we get into like the actual episode, I'd like to know two things. First, let's do kind of a history lesson on Ghost Rider, because I think maybe a lot of viewers of the show aren't familiar with the history of the character, what teams he's been on, that sort of stuff that you might know better than most of us. And then second, let's also talk a little bit right after that about this is our first episode for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's talk a little bit about our history with the show and what we think of it so far. So I don't know. Let's start with Ghost Rider first. What you think he's a popular character, right? So what's the history there? Like, where does the popularity come from aside from the look? Like, who is Ghost Rider? And do you think the show is going to dig into much of this?
It's a really simple superhero. It started out as a Western superhero, and he rode a horse, and he actually had a mask on, so it was just a guy in a suit, kind of like a Zorro character. And then they changed it into selling your soul to the devil. Johnny Blaze sold his soul to the devil, and he was a stunt cyclist in the 70s, and this was right around the Evel Knievel rage. In the early 70s, and this is also the time when Marvel got really supernatural. In the late 60s, more in the early 70s, their supernatural characters started coming out. They with Dracula, Werewolf by Night, Man Thing, it was that craze happened, and he was part of that. He had a good run for the entire 70s and the early 80s. Was a very popular character. He's my second favorite superhero. I just loved his look. The stories were real simple. Actually, his villains were terrible. His main villain was the Orb. So it was a guy who rode around a motorcycle with a giant eyeball on his head. But there's no standout stories except for 18 where the Ghost Rider is put into a different dimension, and he's got it looks like he's fighting other Marvel superheroes, and he takes on all the Marvel superheroes, and he's pretty freaking powerful. Like I said, they brought him back. You know what? They shelved him for a long while, and that's part of the problem because they just don't know what to do with him. And
wasn't he on the Champions or the Defenders?
Yes.
Like, wasn't he on West Coast Avengers? Maybe
one of no, he was sorry, thank you for reminding me. The Champions, which I loved this book. Excuse me. It was the weirdest team book ever. So it was 2 X-Men. It was
Angel and Beast,
Angel and Iceman. No,
Angel and Iceman.
Why am I blanking now?
It was Hercules,
Black Widow. This is what happens with age.
Yeah, Black Widow and Ghost Rider, right?
Ghost Rider and Angel and it's not Iceman. Why am I blanking on?
No, it is. It's Iceman.
Iceman. That's right. Yeah. So
yeah.
two X-Men, 2 of the original X-Men, and a god and Scarlet. It was just the weirdest team. God, I can't believe I blanked on that. I've been busy. So and it lasted 18 episodes or 18 issues, and I love every one of them. They took on the Swarm, the bee guy, which was created right around the whole killer bee fad or craze that was happening in the late 70s. Everybody was afraid of the killer bees were coming. And they came and didn't kill anybody. But that he was part of that. Then he just disappears. He came back in the 90s as Danny Ketch, and that was huge too. And that's where he got like better villains like Blackheart. Again, it went away. It's actually some great 90s books. 15. But yeah, they haven't known what to do with them now. That change was interesting that they did. But as far as it fits into TV and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this is a really odd pairing.
I agree. It seems like they're looking to spin this off at some point, like they were going to do with the Hunter and Mockingjay show that never materialized. And I think they're hoping that this will be another show that they can have after this season's over, where they can bring some of the characters, because it's such a big cast right now on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think they want to get rid of a few characters and put them onto their own show and get some more Marvel programming on ABC.
Well, I think they definitely want more superheroes. I think they see what CW is doing and the success of what's going on over there. And, they're trying, I know the TV side is trying really hard to get whatever heroes they can that aren't going to be in movies, which is, I'm sure there's a huge internal battle going on at Marvel about that. But they're trying to superhero up the show. Do you think they're bringing in Ghost Rider to do a spinoff on a season premiere?
Yeah, no, I think what they're trying to do, because I feel like they brought in Mockingbird pretty early in that season too, and they had Mockingjay and Hunter on for a couple seasons, and then they're like, okay, let's spin this off. I think what they're doing right now is trying to get as much fanfare around any characters they can on this show to then spin off into their own shows. And I think they're just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that some of it sticks. Right?
Yeah. I was shocked at Comic-Con when I saw at first when we saw the chains, we just thought it was going to be some character named Hellfire. I'm like, there's no way they're going to bring in Ghost Rider. But again, pleasantly surprised. And I'll keep watching. I'm still a huge fan of Ghost Rider, and it did bring me. I mean, I was totally off the show. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. So that kind of segues into like our experience with the show. So you can go first, because I know you hadn't watched this show for a little while. So yeah, how did your viewing experience go with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and where are you now that you've seen this premiere?
The premiere. This is one of the better episodes I've seen. To be honest with you, it was better written. I love that little ending. It's kind of set up the whole season, which I'll get into. But I'm hot and cold on this show because that's exactly what it is. A comedian friend of mine, Bert DeVitri, made a great point that this is basically, You know, you're making a TV show out of The Help, out of the world of Marvel, this
Right.
vast world of Marvel. You're doing a TV show on the cleaning crew, you know, and which is interesting, kind of. But I've been disappointed with the lack of superheroes, and you know, like even making some up, which is just like not necessary. You have 5,000 characters out there. But I get, when I start into it, I'll get caught on, but then I don't feel the need to like stay with it, you know. Unlike Flash, which is something I'm like, I've got to watch it next week. I've got to watch it next week. But this might change that. This might change that.
Yeah. See, I've been similarly. I think I've been probably generally higher on it over the course. I've weathered some of the valleys. I think that the biggest problem is when they are trying to tie it in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, and they have to waste time in getting to a punchline or a climax here and there. I feel like the writing overall started out particularly bad and it's kind of found its footing over time.
Yeah.
I think that bringing in Mockingbird was a huge injection of good, and I think that bringing in Ghost Rider is going to be similar to that. My problem is that at the time where they brought in Mockingbird, the team was pretty aside from Fitz and Simmons, I feel like the team was pretty solid. And breaking Quake out, fucking okay. First of all, Sky, who's then Daisy, who's then Quake. How like this is starting to remind me of comic books where the characters have so many goddamn names you can't keep track of like what we're calling them today. But let's call her Quake because I guess that's what we're going by this season for this
Well,
character.
it's called making, and we'll definitely with that character, it's making it up as we go. They did not have a plan like this. This was obviously a plan they changed midway through. It probably came up from Jeff Loeb or whoever. And yeah, I mean, she's more interesting now, so I'm not complaining about it. That is an awful lot of names to keep track of. You know.
Yeah, so but what I was gonna say is like Quake, has always been kind of a center. Coulson and Quake have always been kind of the centerpiece dynamic of the show, and having them together is, I think, crucial. They keep bringing her to different places, like putting her with the Inhumans for like half a season, but and now she's like gone rogue and she's on her own. Like it's so unnecessary in my opinion. And I think that when they brought Mockingbird in, it made a lot more sense bringing, because Shield had gone down and she was already in the field, and they were kind of bringing her back into the fold. With where everything is now, it's like you've had your two most important characters leave the show because you thought they were going to have their own show. You separated Quake from the group, and Fitz and Simmons dynamic is already past its prime, and so you're bringing in Ghost Rider kind of to inject something that I think they needed to bring the show to a different point before they should have injected it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I
Oh
feel like
no, I agree. That's a great point. Hey, can I ship for Fitz and Simmons friendship? I really
yeah.
want them to break up and just be friends again. It was way
Well,
more interesting.
I think that this Ada storyline is going to kind of go that direction.
Yeah.
I can see either Fitz falling in love with Ada or just the fact that she's there causing a rift, between them while she's trying to play her political game. So, you know what? Let's segue right into that. The Fitz and Simmons storyline. I know we're jumping into the middle a little bit, but with the new dynamic of the show, Fitz and Simmons have become more ingratiated to the director. Now, I don't know if I remember who the director is or if we're not supposed to know. I don't remember the season finale too well, to be quite honest. But whoever the director is, I guess it'll be a mystery to me. Whoever the director is, Fitz and Simmons are playing a very political game of sucking up so that they can get as much information and get as much clearance as possible. And basically, they're in a position now where Simmons has to toe the line of Shield no matter what, and Fitz is working on a very secretive program. Where do you think this is? First of all, the life model decoy is bad. Like that to me is the cool part about this. Like Ghost Rider was awesome. Seeing the LMD brought into the Marvel universe in this way was really, really cool. I'm just curious to
It
know
was
where you think it's
hilarious.
going.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're setting up. This is just my best guess, reading a lot of comics. We're setting up a death. Now, I think it was really important that Fitz said when he saw the life model decoy, and after they went through the whole "you shouldn't be doing this," and then Fitz, of course, goes, "Okay, but since we're already doing this, we need to make it perfect." It's going to be, bringing back AI, and I think we're either going to get a fake character death, or we're going to get an actual, knowing Joss Whedon, we're going to get an actual character death, and that character will be replaced by a life model decoy that they're going to stick with.
Okay, so
That's so Joss Whedon. You got to admit, that's Joss Whedon.
I was just about to say that's where I think it's going too. And basically, we're doing Buffy Bot and Dollhouse again.
Boom!
Which I think we can agree is the weakest Joss material you could possibly pull from, if you're pulling from his past stuff. So, what the fuck are they doing with Buffy Bot 2.0 / Dollhouse 2.0?
Well, that's what that was another thing I was going to point out. Haven't this episode, I mean, reeked of Joss Whedon. Like, he is obviously got some extra time on his hands now, and he is more involved in the show. I'm just going to call that one out right now, because the last couple of seasons he's had nothing to do with it other than his name's been on it and his brother writes it. But I think he's been making Joss has been making well, not hints. He's been coming right out and saying he wants to direct Marvel movies again, but he wants to direct like Captain Marvel. I'll say right here that will never happen.
Why do you think
he burned his bridges after Ultron, Age of Ultron? He
it just didn't do well enough.
No, he talked a lot of shit when he walked out. He said, "I was forced into doing stuff," which is, when you're a hired gun, that's what you're supposed to do, and it's funny that there's only been a couple of directors, or it's been 3 directors who've complained about it. It was Alan Taylor, who did Dark World, Kenneth Branagh, who did Thor, and I think he was more butthurt that he didn't direct the next Thor. And although he said he wanted to come back, and Joss after Age of Ultron, he bitched a lot. He said that movie broke him.
Yeah, but didn't he talk a lot of shit after his first movie too, and they still brought him back for the second one? Like, I feel like they kind of just know, like, he didn't go so far as to burn the bridge that Edgar Wright burned, right? Like, he was kind of more diplomatic about saying, I'm not made for this, and he said those things, but he did it in a way that I think he still has a pretty good relationship with them. I mean, they still have this television show on the air. So don't you think that he still has good standing with Marvel enough to say, okay, we'll give you one more shot to make us a ton of money like you did with the first 2 Avengers movies?
With Joss?
Yeah. I agree with you. He did talk a lot of shit, but
he didn't talk that much shit out the first one because it was a success. I mean, this one, I think he knew there was problems with it. I'm not coming out. I don't think Age of Ultron is a bad movie. I think it's more of he just repeated a lot of shots. I think the shine was off it. So I don't think he did something, and it might not have been his fault, but he didn't do anything real different. We just had a lot of money shots, and it's like we already saw it. The whole Hulkbuster thing was cool, and it felt like a big setup for that. But what's funny is the Age of Ultron stuff. I'm glad they did it though, because the residual stuff that's come after it has been really cool. About like what happened afterwards, the aftermath. Leading up to Civil War, which is freaking amazing. Just watched it again.
Yeah.
And so I just say they won't have him back because they've got 2 guys who will work for them and toe the company line.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think those guys know how to direct Marvel movies better. Now, I don't know where this is for Phase 4. I don't know where the hell they go after Infinity War. I honestly don't know where they go. I think they're going to probably kill off characters, retire characters, and instead of recasting a Tony Stark, I think they'll actually get rid of a Tony Stark and bring this new girl in who's Iron Man and stuff. I wish them luck with that. I really do. But yeah, I think it would be best. Disney used to do this. I think it would be best if they took a breath took a break, but I don't think they will. The last podcast I did, we talked about superhero or Marvel fatigue. I don't think there's a superhero fatigue, but there might be some Marvel fatigue setting in at some point.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So let's back to this episode. We've got Mac and Coulson, who are a team now. Agent May, I guess, is training, and she's been demoted pretty far down the ranks, it would seem. And Mac and Coulson are a field team. This really threw me. I feel like Coulson, I like it, right? Like the dynamic works and it's fun to watch. But if you're thinking logistically, I feel like Coulson would just say F you and leave if somebody were like, yeah, I'm taking away all your power. You can go out and team up with Mac and, hunt down clues and shit for.
Yeah, it is. It is weird that he stuck with it, but.
You think he's got a long game in play?
He's got a long, yeah. He's like, if anything, we got it. If we've got anything, what's funny was how Coulson as a character started in the movies. Like we never thought he was dumb or anything, but he just seemed kind of weird and awkward, and he's kind of evolved, which is really good into this really genius character. So yeah, there's definitely a long game, and they laid that out a little bit. I think the weakest part of the episode is just them, the chatting and playing backgammon or whatever the hell they were playing in the planes and stuff like. I'm just, I'm kind of. That's definitely one thing I'm over is the chit chatty stuff in the planes and stuff. That there's way too. I want to fast forward to that every time it happens.
Yeah, me too. And do you think
it seems really forced?
And doesn't it seem like they're trying to recapture those kind of down chatty banter scenes from Buffy from back in the day? Like they're trying to have those little character moments that are quirky and fun, and it just feels like this show it doesn't really work that well.
It doesn't work, yeah.
And it's when it's not Joss specifically writing it or leading up the writing room, it feels just not as interesting. Like it just doesn't do what you need, what you're expecting it to do based on past performance of these guys.
No.
I agree. I hated all of the downtime in this episode. It just needed to be a lot more. It just needed to be different downtime, or just give us more Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah, Ghost Rider and Daisy talking. I would have rather have had that. Exactly. And I think that's been one of the biggest problems with that show. I'll admit to you, with all of these superhero shows, whenever anything stops, save for iZombie. My fingers on the little fast forward, because especially what I call the CW moments, which are in Arrow a lot and Flash, especially season 1, not so much in season 2, where I'm like, nah, get to the superhero stuff, please. I know they got to do it, but there's a way to do it. That's I don't ever do that on a Netflix show. I never. I don't. Right. It's the second of a Netflix show. So I think they need to do more of that. And I think you were right in the beginning that they're definitely trying to capture the tone of the Netflix show as much as they can on network TV. I understand that they can't, but
this really felt to me like they had such success with the Punisher storyline in Daredevil and Marvel, and they wanted to bring Ghost Rider in to kind of recapture that on ABC, right? Like he was hunting down these mob guys. He only killed bad people, but he's a bad guy. Like it really felt similar to what they did in Daredevil with Punisher, only this guy's got a flaming skull, a really cool car, and maybe a chain, or is it just a fucking metal rod? I don't know what.
It looks like whatever he picks up. The flipping the keys thing was going to drive me crazy, and I hope they stop that immediately. Ghost Rider with keys. Okay, for one, let's go back to the car. It's too fucking shiny. It's too shiny. If you're going to do a Ghost Rider car, you know what I loved about Ghost Rider Spirit Advantage? I'm the only person on the planet who likes that movie. Was the motorcycle was like dirty and smoky. And actually, I saw a car here in the city. Some big dude was driving. It wasn't a Charger. It was what the hell was it? I think it was just an older Mustang, but it was primered black, and it looks like it got set on fire or something, and it looked like a Mad Max car. That's what Ghost Rider's car. I mean, you could have the nice engine coming out, but it should look like a Mad Max car, like it actually has been on fire. I think that would be cooler. And he doesn't need keys to start his.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of ridiculous.
What if he lost his keys? Then can he not fight? Shit, I lose my keys all the time.
I should just connect with his soul or his lack of. Yeah.
He's a supernatural superhero, but he still has to unlock the trunk. It's like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Great.
But Ghost Driver. So this is still Ghost Rider, right? This is it. This is the shit, right?
Hey, they did a pretty good job with the look. They really did do a good job when he lit on fire at the end. That was pretty cool.
They did, and the fighting was cool. Like I said, I like the editing of that ending a little bit. It just showed. I thought it set up the season real nice, and I'm really looking forward to the new episode. So I can't imagine Ghost Rider is going to be in the entire season.
Oh, I think he is.
You think so? So let's talk about a little bit what was in the box. What's in the box?
Yeah, what is in the box? So I thought it was Hive. I thought they were bringing Hive back from last season somehow. But I guess it's not. I guess Hives are anyway. So what is it? Ghost?
It's a ghost. Well, this episode was called Ghost, and it obviously has a double meaning, those clever little writers. And it looked like a girl, and she said, I'm out for some fresh air. So I think they wanted to make you think that they opened the box and some evil possesses people, and they see like it. I almost wanted to say it looked a little like Blackout's power, but it couldn't have been because well, yeah, it might be a different take on it. I'm not sure, but the ghost. I think they tried to make you think the girl ghost was the one possessing, but I don't think she was. I think she was just wandering around. I think she was in the box with something else. I don't think she was the one doing the evil. I could be wrong on this one, but yeah, whatever it is they were possessing, and I have no idea. But I thought it was a cool element to bring in. I love Supernatural. I love.
Yeah, it. Remember, not Grant Morrison. He took over the X-Men book after Grant Morrison did. He's known for his really kooky stuff, but he did Ghost Box with the X-Men. Like Zorn was in it, and they opened anyway. Could it be something to do with that aspect of the Marvel universe, or do you think they're just creating something whole cloth?
No, here? I think they're well. If they're bringing Ghost Rider in, I don't know if they're going to bring any of his villains, but they're definitely going to bring the Supernatural in. It would be really cool if they brought more. Like Werewolf by Night, or I don't think they're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be cool. It
would be cool. I just don't know. I mean, what I think that
Brother
they might do.
That'd be awesome if they brought in Brother Voodoo.
The only thing I could see them doing is using Ghost Rider on this show until they have a Supernatural show to launch him into. So like maybe it won't be a straight up Ghost Rider spinoff, but it'll be like a Supernatural show based on the Doctor Strange movie that comes out as a TV show that Ghost Rider then transitions onto off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they can launch it with that actor and that look and everything. And I mean, that would make sense.
Was it you I talked to about maybe they brought Ghost Rider in, might have been Dennis, to possibly be a crossover into the Netflix series? Because I don't think it'll fit. After I'm seeing it, I don't think there's anything that Netflix could cross into ABC, although it would be awesome. There is a rumor out there that Clark Gregg's going to be in Iron Fist.
I could see characters show up in the Marvel universe, but I can't see much interplay between the two. Like I don't see them taking a major character from either and bringing it in for a long, for more than just like a cameo here or there. Like kind of like Night Nurse showed up in the Marvel shows itself.
Yeah, I know, and that's all I would think it would be is a cameo. I really hope that they're going to cross over with Infinity War. I really hope they like do it through the TV show. I mean, this is. God, we talked about this in the comic shop, John, years and years ago. It's like, especially when DC bought ABC, we're like, oh my God, you've got your built-in promotion. You can lead. You could have a special instead of like, Dennis and I talked about this. Instead of showing origins in movies anymore, you do a special on TV and lead it into the movie, like a half hour or an hour or whatever. Make it a documentary, found footage, or make it an actual origin. That's what I thought. Agents of Shield would be more than just like, oh, here's Loki's staff. The end,
Yeah, a mention of the Wachovia Accords. They could have really done a Civil War season this season where you had like some of them registered, some of them didn't. They're hunting down their own. Like it makes sense to have a TV show with that theme. And it almost seemed like they were going there for a second, where they had that girl, the woman, and I'm forgetting her name now, who has that like zippy power from last season, and that seems like Speedster, but only for bursts. And she was working with Shield, and she was cool, but then she was giving messages to Quake, who was on the run. It's like, wow, like she could have signed the Wachovia Accord, she didn't, and now like they're kind of working together, but not, or they're hunting them down, and she's trying to help her. Like the storylines are there in the movies, and the infrastructure is there in the show to do this, and they're like choosing not to, and it's mind baffling.
Well, I mean, I know a couple people I talked to didn't notice, but I'm sure everybody else did because you're all smart out there. The movie Civil War didn't end the Civil War at all. I mean, it
started.
That's why it started. Yeah, it started it. I mean, it's not even close to being over. And they, I thought it was rad that they mentioned the Sokovia Accords, and so I think that there's going to be a lot more. It'll be interesting if they bring that up with Doctor Strange, and which I can't fucking wait for. I cannot wait. So, I'm actually looking forward to the season now. I was going to absolutely write this show off until I heard Ghost Rider was in it. Then I'm like, I'll watch a couple episodes, but now I'm locked in. So
we're podcasting all season. So another theme of this episode, and it seems like maybe a big theme of this season upcoming is secrets, right? Like everyone had a little secret that they were compartmentalizing. You had Ada with Fitz. You had May and Coulson working against the director. You had a Quake and her mole within Shield. You had a lot of secrets that were being exposed. You had Ghost Rider's identity is essentially secret, and he's got his handicapped brother that he's taking care of, so he's not completely soulless. We've got a lot of secrets that we're dealing with. How do you think this is going to play out with each character and the thing that they're hiding? Let's go first with May and Coulson working against the interests of the director of Shield.
It's gonna about midway through the season, it's gonna blow up in both of their faces, and we're gonna get yet another rift between Coulson and May. If there is, there's constantly a rift between those two. Or maybe they make out. I don't know. That's one, I guess. With May, I still say, and I said this with Dennis, and I'm a fan of May. I still see her dying. Somebody is definitely dying at the end of the year. Season 4, this Joss Whedon has his name on it. Somebody's going down, and I think it could be May.
Okay, well, that would be an interesting way for this secret to play out. So, what do you think is going to happen with Ghost Rider and his identity, his home life?
It was used to garner sympathy, although Daisy said everybody's got somebody attached to or something like that. I think, we'll find out his origin. It probably has something to do with his brother being crippled, definitely does. And how is it going to affect his home life? It's going to tear it apart.
Do you think he's going to join the team, or do you think he's going to be a bad guy in the end?
Definitely not a bad guy, but not Ghost Rider's except for Champions, not a team player.
Okay. How do you think? So we've kind of already discussed this, but how do you see the Ada secret for Fitz and his doctor friend playing out?
You could already see it's causing problems, and I think I don't know if we could go through. Haven't we gone through the whole season of them apart, and then they had that whole season of them trying together, getting back together, and I still think you're going to get a rift, but this is just what I'm rooting for. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I'm definitely rooting for them just to be friends again and get back into the lab banter, because I really missed that. That was I think that's a part of the show they should have never fucked with. to be
No.
honest with you.
It was the only part that worked at the beginning when nothing else worked, and now that they have some other things working for them, it's just like that would just enhance it all the more.
They were I don't want to say comedic element. They were Dr. McCoy, damn it, Jim. That, I mean, you can always count on a damn it, Jim in a Star Trek, and it's always there and it's always good, and that's what they're perfect. You know, the Q. I mean, like when I watch James Bond, I don't give a crap who Q fucked. I really don't. I just want him to come up with really good weapons and be funny, you know, and that's what they need to be.
What did you think of Coulson's X-ray hand?
I wish I had one.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But
I wonder what else
his
his hand can do.
That's a little freaking much. Well, you know, there is an Iron Man suit out there. Yeah, I wonder what else. I'm sure it can do a lot. Hang on.
Uh-oh. We lost Gary for a moment. I think he's still live, though. Live show, people. We'll be editing this out for the audio podcast. Nope, can't hear you. You there? Can't hear you. Okay. Let me send him the link one more time to get him back in the room. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to sign off for tonight. We'll see you next week. Remember to like us on Facebook. We're going to have coverage of Arrow and The Flash and all of the CW superhero shows when they start in 2 weeks. We're going to have coverage of Luke Cage coming up. And you can get the full audio podcast for this on iTunes. Remember to like us on iTunes. And thanks for joining, everyone.